Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Money Down Pod, the big episode number 20, man. Time has flown by. I feel like we started this show a couple months ago when Shawn came up with the great idea, and it has just rolled ever since. Thanks to you, great listeners. We are getting more and more audience every single time, so thank you for that. I am Kayvon and Shawn. That is my guy, Shawn White. This is the Money Down Pod. You can follow us on Twitter at Money Down Pod. Follow Shawn at Dumpster Fire Fan. Me, Kayvon_sports. Shawn, how are you doing today, man? Winter is here.
Yeah, doing well. It's getting real cold up here in the Northeast. It's freezing out there. I mean, I got the beanie and the hoodie on and everything, so it's getting real cold out here. I'm hyped up for this college football stuff we got going on today, though.
Yeah, man, this has been one of the best college football end of the seasons that I can remember. Usually we have big news towards the end of the season, but this is just absolute chaos, and it is so fun, and it's just the gift that keeps on giving. And let's start with something that you called. Now, that's Cristobal going to Miami. Like, you said a couple things. First of all, you said you wouldn't be shocked if Lane Kiffin went. And from all reports is that Lane Kiffin was interested. Lane Kiffin was 100% interested in the Florida job. Florida didn't even look under the hood on that one. They decided to go straight for Napier. They didn't want to do it. Miami, though, they went right after Cristobal, and they got their guy. Miami has gotten their guy. And I'm going to give you the floor on your thoughts on this. My first thing was just to say this. The way Miami went about the hire, I think, was bad. And we'll talk about that more. The way they kind of just they pretty much just kept Manny Diaz sitting there and said, if we can't get Cristobal, you're going to stay. If we can get Cristobal, you're gone. Kind of terrible, but then again, he is making money. He is getting like an $8 million buyout, so it is what it is. The good thing for Miami fans out there is this. Miami clearly is willing to spend money. This is the one thing about the Miami program. When Miami is willing to spend money, and ladies and gentlemen, when I say spend money in college football, if you are a big fan, you know what I'm talking about. I do not just mean spend money on your offensive and defensive coaches. I'm talking about spend money on your recruiting coaches that don't even show up on the sidelines during game day. I'm talking about the ones that are recruiting 24/7. People forget about that. Miami has not been willing to spend that type of money over the last couple of years plus. They have had some boosters step up and say, if we can get Cristobal, we'll give him what he wants. Cristobal is a 24/7, 100% recruiter nonstop, and he clearly is going to get the money he needs for the good offensive, defensive, on the field assistants, and also the assistants off the field doing recruiting. And because of that, Shawn, it's a A+ hire, and Cristobal will have Miami back to a very top tier form. Not saying it's going to be national championship form, but I believe Cristobal will have that team in the ACC title game at least 50% of the time moving forward once he gets his staff, his team going down the road.
Yeah, I agree. I essentially think it's almost like a lateral move Oregon like type thing where they can instantly be a top 2 team in the conference easily. They're going up against Clemson, which is more established right now than USC was.
Yep.
But I mean, with how Dabo's losing staff and everything like that, unless Dabo gets used to this transfer portal stuff, Cristobal can come in and kind of swoop that really if he wanted to. Cristobal's big knocks, the X's and O's. One thing he's going to have Miami doing, he's going to get those players in Dade County out there. They're going to be coming to Miami again.
They will.
And those offensive lines, they're going to be pumping again too, which Miami's had a weak one for a while now, which is really rare with all the talent they have in Florida in that area. So he's definitely going to have the talent he needs coming back into Miami. How you're talking about spending money, very important again. That's something that Miami hasn't had for a while.
Yeah.
They had to get the recruiting guys in. They got to get these assistant coaches in. One thing that I see they are doing, they're upgrading the facilities, which is much needed in Miami. Those facilities need to be upgraded badly. They're not going to be able to do anything about playing at Hard Rock, obviously. I mean, your campus isn't there. But the truth is, I mean, the students will travel if you give them a product worth watching. That's kind of how it is. You got to make this enticing. There's a lot of stuff to do in Florida in general, so all Florida teams deal with this, and that's the same thing for Miami. Miami students can go do what they want to. They're by the beach. They do anything they need to. If you give them a good enough team, they'll show up. They'll get loud like any other time. This is a home run hire for them, though. They keep it in the family. Cristobal's from that area. Went to Miami. I mean, he's got the lifeblood of the program running through him. He'll definitely be a huge upgrade, and it's probably the best coach they can hire. Like I said, you worry about the X's and O's and maybe some of the quarterback play that you get with Cristobal. He's going to have to hire a good O coordinator for that. But I do love the direction they're heading in with this, and it was an all-around great hire for them. I know Miami fans have to be excited because they're going to be back to relevance in about 2 years, I'd say.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think the interesting thing you said there was the move in terms of Cristobal to Miami, the lateral move, how quickly he can turn something into it. It made me think of a lot of fans want to debate when you have a coach move from one program to another. Well, is Miami the better job? In all seriousness, I believe Oregon's the better job with a caveat. The caveat is Miami going all in on the money? Like, it's so important when a program is going all in on the money. If Miami is willing to give Cristobal everything he needs, then Miami can be a better job easily. When Miami is good, they are a top-tier job. Now, Shawn is right. The resources aren't great. They're not that updated. And the fact that they have to drive to the stadium is unfortunate. But we saw a couple years ago when Mark Richt had a 10-win season for Miami when they were beating some of those top 10 teams. They ended up kind of fluking out towards the end. That stadium was full. That stadium was very full. Or that might have been maybe Manny Diaz's first year. I don't know. But it was one of those years where they had some big wins. People were showing up. So if you win, people will show up. Cristobal, I argued that I wouldn't have left Oregon for Miami. But your point, Shawn, of just that's his roots. That's where he's from. And I think the one thing, and I know I keep saying it, was he wanted to make sure they were going to give him everything he needed. He wasn't going to leave Oregon unless he knew they were going to give him everything. Once he realized that, he said, come on, let's do the damn thing. And I respect him for that. And I think it's going to be a very, very interesting hire. I think he's going to do a great job.
Yeah, no, what you did say, I do believe Oregon's a better job right now, just because as much as Miami can go all in, no one could go more all in than Phil Knight can.
Yep.
I mean, Phil Knight can give you basically whatever you want up in Oregon. So that's the thing, that like you just have unlimited resources there. But like we were talking about, Cristobal's a Miami guy, man. Like he's got the Cuban thing going. That's where his home is, and you can't give up what a home is to people, man. You can't put a price on that. So him coming back, as long as he feels like he has the resources he needs to go do the things he needs, assistant coach wise, to even kind of do the shady recruiting stuff that we know the SEC does to keep these players in Florida, maybe do some under the table, give them the bag type things. As long as he feels like he can do that, he's going to put a fence around Dade County. It's not going to be Saban and all them coming in and just stealing players from out of there real quick. A lot of those players are going to come back to Miami like that. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. They might not be winning national titles or whatever like they were back in the early 90s, but I can tell you what they will be doing. They'll be putting a lot of people in the NFL again, which has been a while from that, especially in the trenches. They're going to be putting a lot of wide receivers, trench players into the NFL again, and it's going to be live to watch them. It's going to be a battle between them and Clemson in the ACC every year, that's for sure.
No doubt about it, bro. You are spot on about that. And it is a good comparison in terms of the ACC and the Pac-12. Like right now, Oregon didn't really have Utah this year was really good. They slipped back. USC will now be good under Lincoln Riley. In the SEC, all you have is Clemson. Really, I mean, that's it. Like you'll have a couple teams here and there have a good year like Pitt did and stuff like that. But the conference comparison is pretty equal in my opinion. So that's not a big deal to him. I think it's a move he had to make. He did it, and it will be really fun to watch what he does. But you're right. He will put a fin. The thing about Cristobal is he is a recruit nut. He recruits 24/7. He does not stop recruiting, and that is huge for a program like Miami, and it's going to pay off. The transition side of this, the opposite side of this, Shawn, is what the hell does Oregon do? Because not only does Oregon now have to find a job. They have to find a job after all of these other schools have been filled. So they're already a step behind because of that whole part of this, because that they're starting so late to get some of these head coaching candidates, which looks like they're trying to go right back to their guy, their bread and butter, Chip Kelly. That is the news coming out of Oregon today. What are your thoughts on that, Shawn? Do you think this is possible, first of all? And second, do you think it's smart on both ends? Do you think Chip should leave UCLA for Oregon? And do you think Oregon should go back to their guy that got them on the map in the beginning in Chip Kelly?
Yeah, I think it's very possible. Now, is it a good idea? That's another story that I'll get into, but I think it's very possible that he'll go because I do believe those reports out of UCLA are true. I think UCLA is getting a little impatient with him, which I mean, if you're UCLA, I don't know what you're doing. But I do think those stories are true. And I do believe that Chip would have an easier time back at Oregon where he was, like recruiting wise and everything. UCLA is just a hard school to get into, man.
It
like
is.
It's a strange area too. Plus, you're going up against USC now all the time in UCLA. It's much easier to go up to Oregon where you have that Phil Knight Nike connection, like I was talking about. It's much easier to do that. They probably pay Chip more than UCLA is paying him right now. I think they're only paying him like $4 million a year, which is low for what these coaches are making nowadays.
Yep.
So I could see him definitely wanting to move back to Oregon and going back to Oregon. Now, if that's a good idea, I don't know. I don't know if Chip's necessarily the recruiter that he once was or even wants to be. He's more of the transfer portal type guy. He's more of a my system leads the way type guy. But he was getting like the DeForest Buckners and Armsteads and stuff back then. It's just whether Chip wants to throw himself into the recruiting aspect of it again that would really worry me about that. If I was Oregon, I'd probably try to go after someone else, to be honest. Maybe a Wilcox out of Cal. Maybe go after Smith at Oregon State. Maybe go after somebody up and coming. If they didn't want a big ball, try to go after Rule or something. If Phil Knight wants to throw his money around. But, I mean, if they do go with Chip Kelly, it'll definitely be an interesting thing to watch, and it'll be a lot of fun to pay attention to.
It'll be so fun. It'll be so fun. And I think Chip could do a good job, but I'm with you on it, man. The luster just feels a little off with Chip. Not saying that he's not a good coach, because he's still a really good coach. And to be honest, UCLA fans aren't going to like this, but what he's doing at UCLA is actually really impressive, because it's gotten to the point where it's really hard to win at UCLA, dude. It just is. It's not a place where it's just, you talk about Miami and all the things that you can do there. California's times 10, and they don't have the rich history football wise that Miami does, where everyone wants to go and build this thing back up. Chip Kelly, what he's done, like UCLA would be dumb to get impatient with him, in my opinion, but they clearly are. One bad season, he could be on the hot seat again, or he could be fired. And because of that, I think he's looking around and saying, maybe I could go back and recreate something at Oregon. The interesting thing, though, with Chip Kelly is we thank him for his speed and his quickness and all that stuff. At UCLA, he's really turned into more of a power run type of guy. Like, he's still moving really fast. He's still doing a ton of plays really quickly, but it's much more of a power run. It's not all these speedy type guys that you see. I do think, though, with Phil Knight and with the type of attractions he can bring, I do think he could create a successful Oregon program again. Can it be as successful as it was his first time? I don't know about that, because now he has way more. See, the thing about this was when Chip was at Oregon, it was unique. The jerseys were unique. The system was unique. Man, since then, everyone runs up tempo. Everybody runs up tempo. Everybody can get cool jerseys. Not like Oregon, obviously, but still, they get all these different types of jerseys and patterns and stuff like that. That type of brand isn't as unique to recruits. Some recruits still will be sold on it. Others, not as much as it used to. Can he get over that hump? I think he could be successful. I don't know if we're talking as successful, though, as he used to be.
Yeah, I do think the one thing that Oregon really has going for them, because you're right, everyone does run up tempo now, and Oregon's uniforms, I mean, they've been the same the last like 3 4 years.
Yeah.
It ain't like they're putting out like all these brand new things. The one
Yep.
thing Oregon does have, like I said, is the Phil Knight thing, where if you really want to NIL some of these like top high school players and stuff, just say,
Great
hey,
point.
we'll give you some stuff at Nike. It's like, okay, I'll go over there. So that's a good selling point for them. So let me
It's a
get into
great
the
point.
rumors then. If Chip was to leave, a lot of people are saying that Dave Aranda would listen for UCLA. And if
Yeah.
I'm UCLA, I'd sign up for that right now. Like,
In a
no lie.
heartbeat. In a
But
heartbeat.
my question is, if Dave Aranda is willing to listen to UCLA, then why is Phil Knight not talking to Dave Aranda about going to Oregon? That's what
Hmm.
doesn't make sense about that to me. I mean, Phil Knight would obviously pay you more. Oregon would probably be a better recruiting place. So I don't know what it is about Aranda and UCLA that everybody's got intrigued about. But if that's the rumor going forward, then Phil Knight needs to go big fish hunting after like Dave Aranda before he goes and signs off on Chip Kelly, if that's the case.
That's a great point. Let's just transition right into that. I'm pretty shocked by those rumors, man. Like I know he has family right there in LA that he clearly loves and he clearly wants to be around, and that's why his name was in the USC. But that just that just seems odd to me, especially how well of a job he's done at Baylor. Like to me, man, I wouldn't leave Baylor for UCLA. I wouldn't do that. Like I get the whole family aspect, but bro, you're the head coach of Baylor. You can fly to see your family in a heartbeat on the jet. Like yeah, I would much rather be interested in Oregon over UCLA, like you said. So if it's really a big possibility, then yeah, Phil Knight should get on the plane and go talk to him ASAP. But I just wonder if it's a little bit of a smokescreen because I just don't know why he just re-signed. I feel like he likes what he's doing at Baylor. I think he stays. I think he stays. I think it could be a possible rumor out there that really is happening, but I just don't see it, man. And my gut feeling tells me that Dave Aranda is staying at Baylor at least one more year.
Yeah, what doesn't make sense to me about that too is he just signed that massive deal, and like I
Massive.
said, UCLA's paying Chip Kelly like $4 million. Like they scoff at the idea of paying these coaches a high
No,
amount.
they
You'd have
don't
to
do it.
pay Dave Aranda. Like you're paying a buyout and you're paying him a lot of money. I just don't know if UCLA is going to do that. I don't know if they care enough, man. It took them forever. They're one of the most storied college basketball programs
Yes.
there is, and it's taken them until like 2 years ago, until Lonzo Ball and Cronin got in there for them to even start caring about it again.
Yep.
For like after a 15-year drought, it's very strange. Like you don't see the blue bloods in college basketball do that, like a Duke UNC type thing, and you don't see Bama and even as bad as Texas is, they're still trying.
Oh, they're
Like
trying.
you don't see teams that care that much about it do that. I just don't know if UCLA cares about athletics enough for it. To be honest, it's weird. It's a weird school to get a grip on athletically because they have the recruiting talent and they have a brand. They just don't really execute it very well, in my opinion. So I don't Yeah, like I said, I don't understand why Dave Aranda would go there. Those rumors are kind of strange to me. I don't know if that's a UCLA like boosters and all of them kind of trying to put that out there to stir up like, hey, look, we're a good job, man. You want to come
Yeah.
over here? Like that could be what it is. But I think the Chip Kelly to Oregon thing would be interesting. It would definitely get a lot of buzz, that's for sure, for Oregon over the next few days after them kind of being like the last one at the dance, not really dancing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No doubt, and that's a great expression for it. Yeah, no, real quick on that. You're right. Like UCLA, they like their sports, they don't love it. Baylor, they love their sports.
Mhm.
Baylor, they love their sports. And I just think that he's got a good thing going at Baylor. Now, you want to talk about going to Oregon? That's a different question. I'm interested in that, but until I really see more steam on that, I don't believe that he's leaving for UCLA, and that's just my thoughts. The last thing here on Chip Kelly is if I'm Chip Kelly, I would move to Oregon if Oregon's willing to have me. Like that I saw there's a lot of debate out there was would Chip want to do this? I don't think that should be the question. Does Oregon want to do this? If Oregon wants to do this, Chip should move on and give it one more try at Oregon and see what happens. See if he can recreate some magic. Let's move on to Oklahoma here, Shawn, because Oklahoma, they got their guy. They got their OU guy, Brent Venables, a defensive mastermind, someone that has created trouble for SEC programs. including Alabama. Like, let's be honest, Brent Venables has been one of the best defensive coordinators, if not the best, in college football over the last 5, 6, 7 years, if you don't count Nick Saban as a defensive coordinator. I know he coaches the defensive backs and all that stuff, but it just the typical coordinator. Now, we haven't seen him do it as a head coach yet. And my one worried is, can he be a good head coach? Can he be someone that can get the offense going as well? And now we find out that he hires Jeff Lebby. That hire makes me love the Venable hire. If they didn't get Lebby, I was worried. The fact that they got Levy, Shawn, makes me want to say congratulations to Oklahoma. I think they found the right guy.
Yeah, completely agree. I think with the Levy hire, I think there's a good shot you see Caleb Williams just slinging. I think he's going to stay. He's going to start slinging it these next 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I think I mentioned it in the last one, but I don't think a lot of people realize it still. So I'm going to mention it again. Jeff Lebby calls the plays at Ole Miss. It's not Lane Kiffin. It's his play calls. He calls the plays. Kiffin obviously has a lot of input on things, but the play caller that they have at Ole Miss is Jeff Lebby. That Matt Corral elevation, that's Jeff Lebby. So that's something that you got to pay attention to, because he's going into a place with still a lot of talent. They did lose some transfers once Lincoln left, but they still have a lot of talent on offense. It's going to really be up to Venables to get that defense up and going so they can move into the SEC with a good defensive mindset as well. And like you did say, Clemson's defense has been stout under him. They definitely do give SEC teams trouble, and I agree with that too. One thing I want to talk about recruiting-wise with Venables, because he's a monster on the recruiting trail too. I actually don't think the hire affects Bama or LSU as much as it actually affects Jimbo at A&M.
That's a great point.
That's who it hurts the most. Because Jimbo right now, I mean, he just got a flip-flop from Oklahoma not too long ago from one of the best D linemen. That isn't going to keep happening with Venables there.
Yeah.
And Jimbo's been pulling these massive defensive recruits, even though Jimbo's more of an offensive guy. So he's been pulling these massive defensive recruits to Texas A&M like he did at Florida State. That's going to stop in his area a little bit when Venables comes in and competes with him. So that's the team that actually this Oklahoma hire hurts the most, because Saban's going to get his defensive players, man. It's Saban. You're going to go play for him. I mean, LSU's going to get their group down there now with Brian Kelly and the recruiting that he's going to be doing and everything, because LSU's just known for that. It's going to be A&M that's kind of going to slow down a little bit over this Oklahoma thing. I know they aren't scared of Texas at all at Texas A&M, but Oklahoma would worry me a little bit because Jimbo does have the recruiting trail rolling down there, and I wouldn't want Venables and Oklahoma coming into my territory and messing with that, man.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Those big dogs that Clemson has gotten over the years on the D line, back in the defensive back, safeties, all that stuff, that's Venables. Look, Dabo's a hell of a recruiter. Dabo's getting Trevor Lawrence. Dabo's getting Deshaun Watson. Those receivers. He said those receivers that are all over the NFL. Travis Etienne. That's Dabo. All of those guys like Christian Wilkins and all of those boys, AJ Terrell, those guys are because of Venables. And he coached those guys up to become the guys they are now in the NFL. Venables is going to hit it out of the park recruiting-wise on the defensive side of the ball. I was worried about the offense. That's all I was worried about. He's going to get things going. Now, Oklahoma fans, you guys got to have patience, because right now that defense is not very talented. It's not. There's some guys. He's going to have to get things rolling. He's going to have to get his guys in there. It's going to take some time, but I would feel very comfortable knowing that you're going to have a guy that has shown us he can go toe-to-toe with SEC programs with his defensive side of the ball. He'll be able to do that. I was just worried about the offense, and now that they got Lebby, just like Shawn says, a guy that has been calling plays in the SEC, it's a home run hire.
Yeah, for sure. And Venables is going to build that D lineup, which has been a weakness for Oklahoma for a while now. Usually Oklahoma has about one guy that goes like top 3 rounds in the NFL, and then the rest kind of just go undrafted or like don't even get drafted at all. He's going to have 4 or 5 of them, like he always does. The way he did Clemson, like you mentioned Wilkins, he had Dexter Lawrence. I mean, Cleveland Farrell went high, even though he's kind of a bust. Then even if you look now, Breesy's probably going to go top 5, not this year but next year. You're looking at that D line line at Clemson. He built them up, man. So that D line at Oklahoma is going to be an SEC defensive line that you're going to have to go against each and every week. So they actually made the right hire for them to move into the SEC, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people kind of are like, oh, I don't know how he's going to be as a head coach. I'd give him some time. He got the right offensive coordinator. I like how they are. It's going to be curious how the SEC balances these divisions out, because if they put them in the West, then that's murderer's row out there. I think the SEC, I might be getting off on a different tangent, but I think the SEC is going to have to eliminate some of these divisions, man. I don't think you're going to be able to put Oklahoma or a Texas in the West as strong as it is. It's not going to be fair, to be honest.
I agree. That's something they need to look at. And maybe they will, especially once college football playoff expansion happens, because that's just absurd. It really is. And then not even just them, but then it leaves teams like Florida and Georgia. You just have to beat each other, and then you're on to the championship game. So it really would ruin the balance of power. It already is messed up, but it would be interesting to see, because it would get even more messed up. Real quick, before we move on to the games, Shawn, are you worried about Clemson?
A little bit. I mean, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not. I mean, I think them losing Tony Elliott has. I believe we talked about it a little bit. I don't think Tony Elliott's necessarily that great of an OC.
Agreed.
If I'm being honest with you. So him going to be a head coach, I think that's good for him. I think it's actually good for Clemson too. I think it's a win-win on both of that. So I think Dabo's going to have to show that he can hire a staff, because he's had the same staff this whole time. I mean, it's the same two dudes. So I'm curious to see what he does to replace. Dabo's just going to have to get on that recruiting trail again. And Dabo's going to really have to maybe look at this transfer portal, even though he doesn't want to. He's going to have to adapt, because Cristobal is going to be pulling some people, man, like we talked about. I mean, you don't want to get caught behind Cristobal. And I know, like, UNC flounders, they're more of a basketball school, but you don't want to have Clemson fall back too far to the pack and start losing 2 games a year, because that's a quick way to not make a 12-team playoff still as weak as the conference is. So he's going to need to get back to his dominant stuff. The good news is he's got another 5-star quarterback coming in. He's always going to have the QBs rolling in. That's what Dabo does best. He's always going to have the receivers and the running backs. It's just, you got to get that O-line, and you got to make sure you have somebody that's going to coach up the defense, maybe not to the level Venables did, but at least to a slightly lower level below that.
Yeah, no doubt. That the main thing, I'm not that worried about Clemson. The one thing I am worried about, though, Dabo's got to change. Look, I understand some of the greatest coaches are stubborn. Nick Saban was the stubbornest damn coach, thinking he could win based off of his defensive talent and running the ball with big running backs. He had to change. Coach K, I'm not going to get freshmen one and done, blah, blah, blah. He had to change. Dabo, if you do not change, Mario Cristobal will say, oh, you don't want this transfer portal? Come here. You don't think Mac Brown? I mean, Mac Brown's already doing it. Now, can he actually coach them? That's a different story for a different day. Sorry, UNC fans, but recruiting-wise, Mac Brown's going to get everybody he can get. You're going to fall behind if you do not step up. That's the one thing I'm worried about, and that's something we're going to have to watch and see if he does change.
Yeah, and if Tony Elliott does go to Virginia, he knows, like, Dabo's whole philosophy. He's going to try to bring that to Virginia. You got Virginia Tech having a new head coach. It's going to be – the ACC is a huge change in landscape that you're going to have to deal with out there. So Dabo's going to have to adapt. And I'm going to go ahead and segue us, because speaking of coaches that need to adapt, man, Kirby Smart, I don't know what he does. I actually made the mistake of not tweeting this out to you guys, so I'm very sorry. But I took Bama on the money line, and that hit perfectly for me. And I should have tweeted it out. But the more I thought about it, the more I couldn't trust the one thing that Kirby Smart can't get right, which is having Stetson Bennett at quarterback. I can't ride with that guy in any big game situation. And for some reason, Kirby, year after year after year, it doesn't matter how many 5-stars he has at wide receiver, how many 5-stars he has at defense, and hell, he had a 5-star in Justin Fields at quarterback and ran him off. He refuses to play the better quarterback that he has, and it cost him every time when he goes against Saban and Bama or these big-time teams. And I just couldn't ride with Stetson Bennett at quarterback, and I was right on that. And I think they're in trouble for these title games. But as far as that, Bama just put an ass whooping to them. And Kirby Smart deserved that one, because that's just over arrogance that he has at Georgia, and that's him refusing to change, because he still plays football like it's 2012. So I don't understand what it's going to take for him to change his philosophy, but he's going to have to change if you ever want to see Georgia win a championship, in my opinion.
Yeah, first of all, that was a great segue. Beautiful stuff right there. Broadcasting 101. Second, it's pathetic. And if I'm a Georgia fan, I'd be outraged. Not only does he stick to this guy of Stetson Bennett, they were getting crushed on, and he kept putting them out there. Put JT out there at least. Put something else out there. Dude, Stetson's not beating Alabama. Look, maybe Stetson can get you to the finals. Maybe he can beat Michigan because Michigan's quarterback is iffy as well, even though he's been awesome these last couple weeks. Stetson Bennett is not beating Alabama. He's not beating LSU. He's not beating teams that have good quarterbacks because every single one of those teams are going to have a better quarterback. And that's why, and I know this is getting off topic, that's why Kirby Smart has absolutely zero shot at getting Arch Manning. You hear right here, Kirby Smart will not get Arch Manning because he doesn't know how to use a damn quarterback. Kirby Smart would be the guy that gets Arch Manning and sits him. Like, literally, that's what Kirby would do. Like, honestly, it sounds crazy, but that's what he does, dude. I don't understand if he has a love affair for these guys. He feels like they're his son. What? I do not get it, man. But when you're getting beat down like that, why the hell are you not putting JT Daniels in the game? Why are you not doing something different? Because of that, man, they are in trouble. They're not going to win a title until he learns different. He already lost Justin Fields. I mean, that right there should be one of the biggest embarrassments if you're a Georgia fan, that you had Justin Fields and you lost him. And look what he went to go do at Ohio State. And he still hasn't learned from that moment. It's bad.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. So you have 5-star Jacob Eason. You put Fromm in over him. So Eason leaves. And I mean, I get it. Eason could be shaky.
Yeah.
Then you have Fields behind, and you don't even play him. You play Fromm over him. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. I don't care what you say.
Not even that they don't even play him. If you remember that 1 year Fields was there, he would put him in the most outrageous moments, like 4th and 10 to do like a QB like dash sneak type thing on a punt sneak. Like he would, and it made Fields look worse. Like he doesn't use them right when he does use them.
Yeah, so they lose him. Then JT Daniels comes in and lights it up all last year, right? The end of the year, lights it up. Now you're going to put Stetson Bennett in over him. I know JT Daniels got hurt, right?
Yeah.
But come on now. It's been how many weeks? Like, he's got to be able to play a little bit. He's got 80% of JT Daniels has got to be better than 110% of graduate assistant Stetson Bennett. Like, he's going to go on the Georgia coaching staff after this. Like, he has to. Because he has no shot at playing quarterback anywhere else. Not even in the Canadian League. No. The dude can't play. That's just the truth. So, here's the thing about it. It's not even Arch Manning. He has Gunnar Stockton coming in next year.
Yeah.
5-star. Broke Trevor Lawrence's Georgia high school passing touchdown record. I mean, is he going to play him? I have no clue. I couldn't tell you. I mean, honestly, I couldn't tell you. They have 5 stars at every freaking position on the defense almost. I mean, Pickens is back off of ACL. Their tight end. Have you seen Bowers play?
Yes. It's awesome.
Bowers would be the number 1 tight end. He'd be a first-round pick next year. He's 18.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
I mean, you have all this, and then you have Gunnar Stockton coming in. Are you going to play him? Like, play your best quarterback. I know you want to. Okay, I know his whole argument is our defense is so good as long as we don't turn the ball over, we run the ball, we win games. That's outdated thinking. You can do the same thing with the more talented quarterback. Do the same thing. Just let him throw. At least he can throw you out of situations then. It makes no sense to me, and I can't ride with Georgia until they get that whole quarterback situation figured out. That's my big knock on Kirby. That's why I was picking against him for so many times this year. And finally, I was just like, man, I don't know if I can pick against Saban if Stetson Bennett is the quarterback going against him. And I was right on that. And I don't know if I can go against Saban again in a rematch, even if the defense plays better. I just don't see Stetson Bennett scoring enough.
Yeah. No, Saban was sitting there all week just laughing at the film. Like, they think that Stetson Bennett's going to outplay my guy, who Bryce Young, by the way. I mean, dude, Bryce Young, you want to talk about teams tanking for Trevor? this is a situation, bro. This is a situation next year where teams are going to be tanking to get this guy.
Yeah, Bryce
Dude,
would be number one this year for sure. Unless the Jags end up with the number one pick, then he wouldn't. But if it was the Lions, Texans, any of them, oh yeah, he'd be number one.
Dude, he is so poised. He's so cool. He shows no stress. That guy's good, man. That guy is. I'm so impressed with Bryce Young. But back to, and you talked about Gunnar Stockton, bro. Gunnar Stockton was committed to South Carolina. He left when they fired Will Muschamp and went, and he pulled out the and went to Georgia. If I'm Gunnar Stockton, I'm watching this crap and I'm saying, do I really want to go to this school? Like, do I really want to put my future in the hands of this guy? And like, I know it sounds harsh, but it's gotten to the point where it needs to be really talked about and criticized. He is doing what Saban did years ago before Lane Kiffin there and helped him adjust, but he's doing it at a worse level because at least Saban was such a good coach, and Kirby's a good coach. He really is, but he's such a good coach. He could work around it in ways when he had a bad quarterback, and it's not like he didn't just not play as good. Saban just never recruited good quarterbacks. He never did. He was just having okay quarterbacks, and then he was letting the other talent do everything. Once Saban started recruiting top-tier quarterbacks, he played them. Kirby's been recruiting top-tier quarterbacks. He just doesn't play them. Again, man, if I don't even know if they beat Michigan. Like, they're the same team, just with better talent. Like, Michigan and Georgia is identical. Like, the matchup is literally identical. Georgia just has much better talent than Michigan from all across the board. But I don't know if I trust Stetson Bennett. Like, if Michigan stops the run game, I don't trust Stetson. Like, I'm playing JT Daniels. Like, I'm play JT Daniels. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. He's actually not even being Saban back then. He's being Les Miles is what he's being. He's being Les Miles LSU. That's exactly what he's being. It's insane to me. And Saban finally caught on after he started losing to like the Johnny Manziels and the Deshaun Watsons and figuring it out. I don't understand how after about 8 years of the rules changing and even the SEC adopting the spread and scoring 30 points a game, even on these SEC defenders. I don't understand how if you're Kirby Smart, you can't figure that out. It makes no sense to me. And he's got to know. I mean, you've got to know at some point. You watch Fields play at Ohio State. You watched all this. But you're right. If I'm Gunnar Stockton, I mean, I like what Shane Beamer did back at South Carolina. If I like the school that much, I'd go back to him, to be honest.
Me too.
I mean, it makes no sense. It's literally mind-boggling to me. And until they figure that out, I can't ride with Georgia ever. It's beyond me on that. You're right. Michigan has a shot for sure. They're the same team, like you said. That game could end up 9-6 for all I know. Like, it could be a field goal fest.
Yeah.
I can't trust Stetson Bennett in a big spot. I really can't. I just can't do it. And until they play JT or play Gunnar Stockton next year, Georgia's just going to keep being this team that puts a bunch of people in the NFL, that has a bunch of athletes and a bunch of superstars that play on defense, and they just never win anything. They're going to be Les Miles LSU's team. That's what it's going to be. And
eventually, like, Georgia fans are tired of it, man. They're tired of it. They're tired of getting embarrassed, because that's what it is, dude. They get embarrassed. Like, they win these all year long, and then they just can't even hold up against their bigger brother in Alabama. And it's I'm not saying to the point where they're going to fire Kirby Smart or anything like that. I'm not
calling for his job, no. But he does need to get called out. Like, it's so dumb. Like, I don't know.
But
and people don't call him out on it. It's weird. Like, you can hear us here, first ones. Got to call Kirby out on this quarterback.
You got to, man. You got to. Otherwise, he's not going to change. If he doesn't feel the heat, if he doesn't feel the pressure from his own fan base, from his own inside, then nothing's going to change. He's got to change, and we'll see what happens. Shawn, real quick, and guys, we're going to guys and girls all there listening out there, we're going to dive really deep into all of these games. I mean, we have some time. We're not just that. We're going to do like, I haven't talked to Shawn about this, but I figured we'll probably do like a little bowl special and give out picks. We can talk about our favorite bowl games, give out picks for the bowls. We're going to dive into so much of these games. So, Shawn, don't go into too much detail, but Alabama's a 13-point favorite against Cincinnati. First of all, congrats, Cincinnati. I'm so happy they made it. They deserved it. They went undefeated. Luke Fickell, I mean, they really deserved it. Georgia's a 6-point favorite against Michigan. As we stand right now, would you take the two fit. Do you think Cincinnati has a shot at all?
I think they keep it close in the first half. I mean, if we're being honest, I think they come out amped up, like they're ready to prove
Yeah.
something. I think Bama might come out a little flat, even though Saban's not known for that. But I mean, it's you just beat the hell out of Georgia. So I think they kind of maybe take a little step back. Like I said, Cincinnati's probably going to come out hitting on all cylinders. I think you might see a little bit of points given up here and there, but eventually Bryce is going to catch them. I am a little worried about Mechie being out, if I'm being honest with you, because Jamison Williams is the best receiver they have, but Mechie's a good number 2. And it's going to be out as a draft fanatic. I cannot wait to see Sauce Gardner on Jamison Williams. That is going to be the matchup. I'm going to be watching them every play. I can't wait to see that. So I do think Cincinnati keeps it close in the first half. I don't know if they can win it. I don't even know if they can cover, to be honest. I think Alabama could pull away in the second half.
Yeah.
As for that Georgia-Michigan game, I do kind of like Michigan right now. I might reassess that before playoff time comes. Like I said, we do have a lot of time, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm still kind of hung up. I want to see what Georgia does with the quarterback situation. And I kind of want to dive into Michigan's like run defense a little bit more. Because I know the edge rushers are there, but Georgia, I mean, good God, even if they do roll Stetson Bennett out there, they're going to run the ball. So I kind of want to readjust and see the Michigan run defense, maybe go recap those games before I make a decision. But right now, I'd lean Michigan and I'd lean Bama to even cover the 13. But I'd take the first half for Cincinnati. For sure.
I like that first half bet. I think that the 6 points is a little bit big. I do think that that Michigan – I don't know if Michigan will win, but I do think that they can keep it within 6. I do see that being a field goal type game. And I want to pick Cincinnati, man, not to win, to cover. I don't think they can win, but I'm so excited to see Desmond Ridder go against Bama's defense. Like, it's not a great defense. They have issues, but this will be the best defense he's played in his college career. And I know you aren't very high on Ridder, and I'm not that high on him.
Hey, Kuiper has him as Josh Allen. So
yeah, Kuiper, I do think there's some things about him that when I watch him, there are some things that go, damn, I kind of like that. But then there's also some things about, like, he needs some work on some of the ways he throws the football and stuff like that. But he is a tall, like, he looks good. He looks good, and he's athletic and all that stuff. But I know you're worried about his mechanics and stuff like that, and I get that. But I would love to see how he plays against Bama and Nick Saban, and the way Nick Saban teaches up his defensive backs. He's going to be going up against an NFL mind and a way an NFL defense will play, and I'm fascinated to see that.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be the playoff. I love it because it's going to be like a draft fanatics nerd fest for me. So, like I said, the Jameson Williams Sauce Gardner matchup, that's going to be good. I'm hyped up to kind of see Myjai Sanders if he lines up on Evan Neal. I want to see how his pass rush moves does, because Evan Neal stonewalls everybody. He's going to go like top 3, top 4 in the draft. So I do want to see Myjai Sanders, like how he does good in reps against him a little bit. Ridder against the defense, that's going to be fun to watch too. But Bryce Young is going to be the main show. I mean, you know how it is. So.
He's amazing. And one thing, dude, Cincinnati's defense is no joke.
Oh, for sure, yeah. They have 2 legit NFL corners of Myjai Sanders, for sure, yeah.
They are, even though they're a group of 5 team, they're a Power 5 defense. They are an absolute Power 5 defense with 5 stars, with NFL guys all over it. Bryce Young is so good, though. So good, but it will be fun to watch him do it. But Bryce Young is just an absolute awesome person to watch. Anything else you have to say before we get
I was going to say real quick before we finish off, do you think it's a little weird that Fickle's the one that got left out coaching wise?
Yeah, I find it fascinating. And I wonder if he had his agent tell everyone he's not going anywhere, because I understand Notre Dame's really hype about it's Marcus Williams, right? Or it's
Freeman,
Marcus Freeman. Yeah, that's right, Marcus Freeman. I understand they're really hype about him and the way the players looked and all that stuff. But he's only been there for 1 year, man. Like he's done a lot of great stuff. He's done a lot. If you look at his resume, the players clearly love him. He can recruit. He's winning at the press conference, everything. But it was shocking to me how quickly they went to him. Instead, they clearly wanted to keep continuity instead of looking at Fickle and some of these other programs. It makes me wonder if Fickle just told everyone, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if Fickle's just I'm all in on either Ohio State or Notre Dame. I know you're kind of leaning Marcus right now, so it kind of makes me wonder if like 2-3 years we might see Marcus get fired and he would then take Notre Dame if
Yeah.
something goes wrong, or if he's just going to wait it out for Ohio State. But you're going to be waiting a long time. Ryan Day ain't going nowhere.
No,
Like,
he's not. He's not
so,
going to the Bears. Sorry, Bears fans. He's not doing it.
so yeah, it's a little that's a weird situation. Like I said, I'm not going to be. Ron Day did just get Oklahoma State's defensive coach.
Huge.
We talked about that before the
Huge.
thing. That's a huge thing. I'm not gonna lie to you, just reading tea leaves as like a Jags fan, they are I'm thinking they're gonna lose Hartline here soon at receiver. I think Urban's probably gonna hire him to be the Jags receiver coach. That would not shock me. So I think they're going to lose Hartline here soon for a better job, even if it's not the Jags. He might go somewhere. I think Ryan Day's going to be there for a while. I think Fickle's going to be waiting. Fickle might just be waiting to see, okay, if Notre Dame has something go wrong, or maybe if Franklin and Penn State don't work out, maybe that's it. But Fickle might just be happy at Cincinnati, which, I mean, they are going to Power 5 now, so maybe he'll upgrade them even more. He's going to be in the Big 12. Maybe he'll just go head-to-head with Aranda.
That's the key right there, what you said. If they were not moving into the Power 5, if they were not moving into the Big 12, I don't know if he's as content as he is. Because eventually things end up, there's a ceiling on Group of 5 schools. There just is. Like, it just is. There is always going to be a ceiling on what you can do. But the fact that they're moving to the Power 5, maybe that has him thinking, I love this school. Now we're not a Group of 5 anymore. I've already done it in the Group of 5. Now let me show I can do it in the Power 5. He might just be the 1% that does it this way. And he is the 1%. Like, let's get it right. He might be.
Yeah. Now that I think about it even more too, it's like, if you go with the same thinking and it is the 12 team, you would think the Big 12 would have a shot. You would think right now, hey, he's at home while Cristobal's back at Miami. And you can make an argument Cincinnati, like I said, going head-to-head with Aranda and Baylor, they'd be the number 2 fighting for that spot right there. So I guess he could just feel like that's a good situation and he's at home. So
easily. I mean, think about it, like, dude, if they were in the they would have been a lock. They would have probably maybe even been a 3 seed because they would have had a chance to lose. I mean, if you're in the Power 5 and you're a 1-loss conference champion, you're making it. They were a 0-loss team. So no doubt, like, there will be leeway. It'll be interesting. But again, we are going to have a bowl special. We're going to dive into all of these games. And of course, most importantly, the Final Four. We will also talk more about the Oregon job when that gets filled. Is it going to be Chip Kelly? If not, where else do they go? It'll be fascinating stuff. And then we'll be back tomorrow with our NFL breakdown of this coming week. Some massive games this week, including the Rams having their one last shot at trying to catch the Cardinals. If they can win it, it only separates them a game. It's possible. We can look at it. We'll dive into all of that tomorrow when we break it down. This is the Money Down Pod. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give us a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on everything going on in college football and the NFL. I promise you we will answer. We appreciate all of you that have taken the time to listen. I am Kayvon and Shawn. That is Shawn White. Shawn, do you have anything to say before we head on out? Are you good?
No, we're all good. Just like, favorite, and I'll keep on listening. We're happy to have y'all. Love to keep doing it.
Yep, we love it so much. We love all of you for listening, and we will be back. Follow us on Twitter, Money Down Pod, and we'll promise. We're sorry, Shawn. Shawn left you guys in the dust. All right, that's Shawn. Blame him, not me.
That was my fault. My bad.
That's Shawn. But he made some money. But you know what he's going to do? He's going to promise that he's going to make you guys some money for that. So
I'll get you back on the bowl season.
We'll get you back on the bowl season. We'll talk to you guys later on. Have a great night. Follow us on Twitter at Money Down Pod. I'm Kayvon and Shawn. That's Shawn White. We'll talk to you later.